Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Parker, and of course, before we get into this video, make sure you subscribe and leave a like. We are 15 subscribers away from 100, which is absolutely insane to me. So make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and all that stuff. First things first, I want to say all glory goes to God for everyone who's come to the channel, left a view, left a subscribe, left a like, left a comment. No matter if it was a positive or negative, I'll take the exposure that I get to spread God's message, and I truly have to say that Jesus is King, and I ask that you give your life to Him, as it will make you so much more happy, fulfilled, and give you a purpose in this life if you follow Him. So I really suggest you do that. Leave me questions below if you have any questions about God, Jesus, religion. And yeah, just believe that Jesus died for your sins on the cross and you'll go to heaven. And before we jump into the expansion draft now, I'm going to roll a clip of me showing you all the players that were protected. A lot of them were from the auto protection. I hit quick protect and then auto protected on draft friendly or cap friendly or whatever the website's called. And then I manually protected Avalanche players. So if you think someone should have been protected that wasn't, let me know. And if you think that a player that I drafted should have been protected, let me know. Or if I should have gone with a different player on the different team. So really quickly, let's roll the protection cliff and then I'll meet you back here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I've gotten done the protections. A lot of them were used by this quick protect button. So if you disagree, let me know in the comments on if someone should have been protected that wasn't protected. Because I'm still I still know, I think, who should be protected, but if you disagree, let me know in the comments, and I'll just quickly go over all of the players protected. If you want to get an in-depth look, just pause the video in order to see all the players protected. But for now, we're gonna stick with it. I will talk about my Avalanche though. McKinnon, Rantanen as obvious ones. Burakovsky, Donskoy I think are pretty obvious, and so is Nichushkin. And then I like the way Tyson Joseph's played, so I have us picking or protecting him. And then I was protecting Landeskog over Kadri because I feel like we'll try to trade Kadri before the expansion draft. If we don't, I feel like we'll probably protect him and then sign Landeskog after the expansion draft. So I don't think Seattle will draft him. And then defensemen are pretty obvious. Cale Makar, Sam Girard, and Devon Taves. And then I have Philip Grubauer. I would like to protect Francouz. He just hasn't been healthy. He's 31 years old, so I'd like to keep Grubauer back here. And then, yeah, that's the only one I wanted to talk about. But other than that, if you want to pause the video to see the other teams on who is protected for them, before we get into the expansion draft, just feel free to pause like I said. So yeah, we'll have to see what is going on here. Yeah, I'm excited. July 27th I think is when the expansion draft is. So yeah, let's see how this thing turns out. Alrighty, there we go. So now let's jump into the picks themselves. Alrighty, welcome back. So now we're going to get into the expansion draft for the Seattle Kraken. And starting things off with the Philadelphia Flyers, I have them selecting James Van Riemsdyk. Now, this is a veteran player, and to me, I feel like, obviously they want to get young. They want to draft young prospects to help the team develop and have a bright future, but you also want the veteran leaders to help guide the team, and I think James Van Riemsdyk would be perfect. Obviously, this isn't going to be in order of team name, but yeah, in 797 games, he scored 264 goals, 260 assists for 524 points, and is a negative 37 on the plus minus. And like I said, a veteran leader. I'm not going to spend too much time on each person because there's going to be 30 guys, because the Vegas Golden Knights are excluded, that we have to get through. So I'm probably not going to take up too much time talking about each one. These are just the picks for my mock. From the Anaheim Ducks, I have them selecting Adam Henrique, once again another veteran leader. He's played in 710 games, scored 198 goals, 201 assists for 399 points, and it's a -11 on the plus minus. And like I said, another one of the veteran leaders. From the New York Islanders, I have them selected another leader, Cal Clutterbuck. In 874 games, he scored 124 goals, 123 assists for 247 points, and is a -26 on the plus minus. And this is just establishing the veteran leaders. They can always draft them and then flip them and trade them, so that's always possible. And then I also want to say that we're going over the forwards first, and then once the forwards are done, we have the defensemen, and then after the defensemen, we have the goaltenders. From the Pittsburgh Penguins, I have them selecting Jared McCann. In 253 games, he scored 66 goals, 89 assists for 155 points, and it's 26 on the plus minus. From the Nashville Predators, I have them selecting Luke Kunin. In 169 games, he's still fairly young, considering you got to consider a season is 82 games, so he's played just above 2 seasons. So in 169 games, he scored 33 goals, 38 assists for 71 points, and is a -19 on the plus minus. And this is really a guy who I could see as one of the younger guys who can still score, and I think this would be the pick from Nashville. From the Capitals, I have them selecting Connor Sheary. In 378 games, he scored 86 goals, 86 assists for 172 points, and is a 1 on the plus minus. So he is still fairly young, but a little bit older, so he can provide that leadership, and I think this would be a great pick from the Capitals. Yeah. From the St. Louis Blues, I am selecting Sammy Blais. It says Samuel Blais on the depth chart for St. Louis, and I like Sammy Blais because he is young, and he's still a good prospect, and in 119 games, he scored 17 goals, 18 assists for 35 points, and it's a -2 on the plus minus. I think Sammy Blais is a very solid young player, and if they get him off the Blues, I will be more than happy with that. So yeah, Sammy Blais is my pick from the St. Louis Blues. From the LA Kings, I have them selecting Austin Wagner, who's played in 171 games, scoring 22 goals, 18 assists, 40 points. And this is where we kind of start getting into a little bit of a role of the younger guys. He's a -17 on the plus minus, but I think he isn't too much of a scoring threat, but I do think that he can develop into that. So yeah, we'll have to see. From the Columbus Blue Jackets, I have them selecting Eric Robinson, who's played in 120 games, scoring 15 goals, 15 assists for 30 points, and is a 13 on the plus-minus category. From the Tampa Bay Lightning, this one, I have them selecting Patrick Maroon because they are $18 million over the cap. But also, they got to protect a lot of players, and I think Maroon will be exposed, so I think this will probably be a very solid pickup for the Kraken. In 568 games, he scored 101 goals, 146 assists for 247 points, and is a 15 on the plus minus. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with Patrick Maroon, but when the expansion draft happens, I might go live or I might just record it. I'm going to have my mock draft on one side, and I'm going to have the actual picks on the other side. And when the protection list comes out for all of the teams, if a player that I had drafted in here suddenly becomes protected by another or by that team, I will put a different person in place, come out with a mock draft, and then I will replace the players that have been protected, and then we'll go through that if something like that happens. Next, from the San Jose Sharks, we have former Avs member Matt Nieto. He's played 500 career games with 67 goals, 91 assists for 158 points, and is a -25 on the plus minus. I kind of miss Matt Nieto. Not that we really need him on this team, but he was good on the PK. He scored a bunch of shorthanded goals for us. So, Matt Nieto still an Av in my heart. Obviously, he was drafted by the Sharks, came to the Avs, and now is back on the Sharks. But I do have the Kraken selecting Matt Nieto from the Sharks. From the Devils, I have them selecting Nathan Bastian, who's played in 48 games, scoring 6 goals, 7 assists for 13 points, and is a 0 on the plus minus. So he's still a very raw player, but I feel like that's good for Seattle, getting a bunch of young players to kind of gel and learn together. And I think Bastian is very solid, but I don't see him making the protection list for the Devils, so I do have them selecting Bastian. From the Canucks, I have them selecting Matthew Highmore, who's played in 91 NHL games, scoring 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points, and is a negative 10 on the plus minus. Once again, a very solid young player who's just played over a season worth of games, and yeah, could add to that line. And then from the Detroit Red Wings, this one was a hard pick for me. I didn't know who to pick, but I decided to select Hayden Verbeek, who hasn't made his NHL appearance yet, but I do think he could potentially be a very solid scorer. He's in the minors right now, so they could call him up next season. He could play in the AHL for one more season, but yeah, we'll have to see. So I do have the Kraken selecting Hayden Verbeek from the Detroit Red Wings. From the Toronto Maple Leafs, I have them selecting another veteran, Alex Galchenyuk, who's played in 583 games, scoring 140 goals, 193 assists for 333 points, and is the negative 66 on the plus minus. And like I said, just a veteran leader for the Kraken. And I think he was probably the best. To me, he was the best player to draft from the Leafs, even though he is an older player. From the New York Rangers, I have them selecting Julian Gauthier, who's played in 47 games in the NHL, scoring 2 goals, 9 assists for 11 points, and is a negative 5 on the plus minus. And to me, I feel like he's solid. He's a solid young player to pick up, because when you think about who the Rangers are going to protect, it's going to be Igor Shesterkin for the goaltender. I would assume Adam Fox. It's obviously Adam Fox is one of the defensemen. And then you look at the forwards. They got to protect Capo Caco, Alex. And I don't think, do they have to protect Lafreniere? They might have to protect Lafreniere, but I'm not sure yet. Or they might not even have to protect Caco. We'll have to see. But they also have to protect Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad. I feel like Philip Hedl will probably be protected. So I feel like Julian Gauthier would be a solid pick from the Rangers. Next, from the Ottawa Senators, I have them selecting Vitaly Abramov, who has played 5 career NHL games, scoring 1 goal, 0 assist, and negative 3 on the plus minus. I feel like that's not right, though. Vitaly Abramov. I'm going to check, because that might be his stats from this season. Stats and news, Vitaly Abramov on NHL.com. Let us see real quick. No, in his career, he's played 5 games, scored 1 goal, no assist for 1 point, is a negative 3 on the plus minus. So I do think, I really like Vitaly Abramov as a young prospect, and that's why I have them selecting from the Senators. Now we move on to the defensemen, and from the Minnesota Wild, I have them selecting Matt Dumba, who's played in 462 NHL games, scoring 68 goals, 127 assists, 195 points, and is a 28 on the plus minus. And I do think it would be a very, very solid defenseman for the Kraken. Next, from the Carolina Hurricanes, I have them selecting Brady Shea, who's played in 366 games, scoring 28 goals, 95 assists for 123 points, and is a negative 23 on the plus minus. Obviously, they might be able to get Dougie Hamilton. Maybe, maybe not. So we'll have to see. But I think Brady Shea would be a very solid pickup. I feel like he would be probably a second pairing demon for the Kraken. But yeah. Next on the Calgary Flames, I have them selecting Christopher Tanev. I call him Chris Tanev, but I'm sure a lot of people do as well. He's played 570 career games, scoring 24 goals, 106 assists, 130 points, and is a 58 on the plus minus. And I do have him as a second or third pairing demon. I do probably have Matt Dumba as a first pairing demon. But yeah. From the Buffalo Sabres, I have Colin Miller as a third pairing demon, who's played in 349 games. Who scored 27 goals, 95 assists for 122 points, and it's a negative 33 on the plus minus. And like I said, I probably have him as the third pairing defenseman. And then the other first pairing defenseman with Matt Dumba, I have from my favorite team, the Colorado Avalanche, Ryan Graves. I think we're protecting Makar, obviously, Gerard and Taves, in my opinion. So that leaves Ryan Graves exposed to, played in 149 games, scoring 14 goals, 32 assists for 46 points, and is a 59 on the plus minus. He's a very good and young defenseman, so I feel like this would be a slam dunk pick for the Kraken. And yeah, I'm sad to see him go, but I do think that he is the pick for my favorite team, the Avs, and I hate to see him go, but our defense is so stacked that I feel like we'll be able to recover from the loss. But it'll suck losing him. From the Florida Panthers, he could also be probably a third pairing defenseman. Marcus Nutivara, who's played in 274 games played, scored 17 goals, 53 assists for 70 points, and is 26 on the plus minus. To me, he's either the third pairing defenseman or second pairing defenseman. I think Dumba and Graves are number one, and then I'd probably have Brady Shea and Christopher Tanev as the second pair, and then Colin Miller and Marcus Nutivara as the third pairing defenseman for the Kraken. And then they also have Nathan Beaulieu from the Jets, who's played in 395 games, scoring 12 goals, 78 assists, 90 points, and is a 16 on the plus minus, who probably could sub in as a third or second pairing defenseman where he needs to be. Also, they have Caleb Jones from the Oilers, 93 games played, scoring 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 points. They're required to take 9 defensemen, so they will have some extras. So, mix and match. I do think Dumba, Graves, Tanev, Shea will probably be the starting defenseman, but Beaulieu, Jones, and Jacob Zaboral will substitute in where they think they will fit best. And in 44 games, he scored 0 goals, 9 assists for 9 points. With the Boston Bruins at 0 on the plus minus for Jacob Zaboral. So we'll have to see where they play him. Obviously, Matt Dumba and Chris Tanev are up there in age, so we'll have to see what happens with them. And then also for the Blackhawks, former Avs, Nikita Zadorov being selected. He's played 411 games, 23 goals, 60 assists for 83 points, and there's a negative 9 on the plus minus. Just that big physical defenseman on your team, the enforcer, someone you love to have on your side of the ice, just laying out big physical hits. Zadorov at watching him play, he isn't super productive offensively, and he isn't super great defensively. He's a great physical threat, but offensive and defensively, he's not super great, and so we'll have to see what happens with him, but, very solid enforcer. Now for the goaltenders. From the Stars, I have them selecting Anton Khudobin, who was a very solid goaltender and the bubble for them last year. In 250 games played, he started 230 of them with 111 wins, 87 losses, 32 overtime losses with 6,886 shots shot against him, allowing 569 goals with a .247 goals against average and a .917 save percentage in his career. A very solid goaltender. To me, there's no goaltenders exposed like a Fleury for the Golden Knights that they got. So, yeah, but Khudobin is still very good. And then from the Canadians, I have him selecting Jake Allen, who in 318 games played, he started 298 of them with 159 wins, 106 losses, 31 overtime losses, with 8,498 shots against him, allowing 748 goals with a 2.52 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. And then from the Arizona Coyotes, I have them selecting Aiden Hill. So Antti Ranta and Aiden Hill were exposed. I have them selecting Darcy Kemper because if you give Seattle Darcy Kemper, I feel like, to me, that's like giving them Fleury. Now, Fleury's obviously way better and has had a way better career, but Kemper is still unbelievable, an unbelievable goalie. So if they exposed him, that would be giving them a super good goalie. But Adin Hill, a much younger goaltender. I wanted to select Antti Raanta here, but due to his age and recent play, I feel like he hasn't played like himself recently. So I have them going with the younger goaltender in Adin Hill, who's played in 49 games, starting 41 of them with 19 wins, 21 losses, 4 overtime losses, facing 1,324 shots, allowing 120 goals, and he has a 2.79 goals against average and a 909 save percentage. And yeah, that's my mock draft for the Seattle Kraken. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. As this channel, I post a lot of Colorado sports, a lot of Avalanche and Broncos videos are the two main teams I focus on. Sometimes I'll throw in some Rockies and Nuggets news here and there. And then for college football, I go to Oklahoma State, so that will be a team that I'll try to cover. I also really like LSU and Ohio State, so those are my 3 favorite college teams that I will try to cover. And then, I have some family that goes to other schools, so maybe I'll try to cover some of them. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let's try to hit 100, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.